Welcome to Truth and Life Today with Congregation of Dot Ariel, Jewish believers in Jesus and teachers of spiritual warfare. If you'd like to speak with us tonight, call 618-924-1851. And now, here's the lovely and talented producer Deb.
Welcome to the Truth in Life broadcast, where we do our best every week to bring you a biblical perspective of the things we see going on around us and the headlines around the world in the same way that Rabbi Moshe Lori, who used to head up this program, well, he would do and bring you every week. So I am indeed producer Deb, sitting here at the table tonight, and I am joined
By Richard. Glad to be here.
And over in the corner, this is Jim. And once again, everyone, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to give us a call at 618-924-1851. And just an update on what we're doing and transforming over to our new digs, our new platform. Just to let everybody know, everything seems to be going perfectly. I, however, am not, but I'm working on it. So I think everything's going perfectly right now. The problem that I was having was one of our platforms I'd put in, it go to a profile and it wouldn't go on the air right away. I was like, what's going on here? I think I got that licked tonight. So I think that's our last bug. And I'm so happy. Thanks to our IT guy, Chad,
yes.
and who helped us out with this. I'm going to be sending him a message here pretty soon. And yeah, things are going great. Thanks to Elaine Rumaker and Paul, her husband Paul, and also to Bonnie Olinger for their contributions to the show over the years. And it's this is a long time coming, and hopefully, it's just the beginning of something else. Some other things that we're going to be doing as far as connecting to Facebook, and we're talking about getting on other platforms as well. So, you know,
Yeah, right now you can find us on Rumble,
mm,
Twitch, and YouTube, right?
that's correct.
So
So,
that's where we are right now and looking to hopefully expand. Also, we, like Richard was saying, dressed in his polar
That's
fleece,
right.
right?
It's cold
It's
here.
cold. It's technically not winter yet, but it has certainly felt like it. We've had temperatures that would plunge into the 20s
22.
and
Righteous
not
not.
not get much out of the 30s
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
daytime, and
That's with the wind blowing too.
it's kind of not normal for this time of year. Normal is
Yeah,
lows in the 30s, highs around 50, but
right.
we've got, but the normal is the mean of the extreme. So we're getting a little bit more of the cold extreme right now, but
That's right.
technically, I guess it won't be until the 21st
Well,
that
my
winter begins.
my cousin in Springfield got 8 to 10 inches of snow.
Yes, that system that went through
So
St. Louis was just a mess
yeah,
for a while there.
that's
And
Springfield, Illinois. For those of you that are watching elsewhere.
yes, yeah, there's different Springfields, aren't there?
Yeah,
but we didn't really get a whole lot here. We got a little bit of snow. It was a little bit white here,
yeah,
but nothing, not no problems.
about an
But
inch. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, but
About
it's
an
just
inch. Just
those
barely covered the ground.
Yeah.
just to make it everybody's Christmas lights that are putting out make them look pretty. So,
Yeah.
but it's all gone now.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's cold, very cold. Uh, Going through things. I mean, we've had a week off. That's one little thing that we probably need to talk about coming up. We've had this past Thanksgiving week. Of course, we didn't have our Hebrew class. We didn't have the show, and we didn't have Shabbat last week. The same thing's going to happen around Christmas. We're
Yes.
going to have a Wednesday, Christmas Eve. We're going to have a Thursday, Christmas Day. I don't know what we're doing about Shabbat that week yet, but we will not be having a show on Christmas Day. So
Right.
the towards the end of this month. So December 25th is and we will probably most likely not be having a Hebrew class the night before on Christmas Eve. So we'll have to see what everybody, if they are up to wanting to come for Shabbat or not. We'll find that out tomorrow night. But just want to let everybody know we'll be here for a couple of weeks, and then we'll have another one of those things. And probably New Year's is going to be the same sort of thing. Now I think we decided we'll be here New Year's Day.
Yeah, we'll be here New Year's Day. You
So
know, um, Well, just to let you know, and we'll let you know, we may do the show a little bit earlier that day. But
Yeah.
we'll play it by ear and
Yeah.
see what happens.
So just to
So,
keep you, keep it in the pipeline, just for you to understand, with the holidays falling right on our day.
Right.
and as always, I mean, if we do the show earlier that day, I mean, it'll be on file and you can watch it whenever you
Right.
want on Rumble, YouTube, or Twitch. So,
Yes. Well, I've taken heart this week because I'm finally seeing a little bit more people talking about what we've tried to talk about on this program. What Rabbi started talking about the many years ago in the early 2000s on his program on TCT, and then we went to radio, and then eventually went to the internet. I remember when Rabbi was trying to get messages to Glenn Beck because of things that Rabbi didn't have the nationwide platform anymore. And he really felt that Glenn Beck was doing the best job at the time. And I can't remember the specifics, but I don't know if I don't know if we emailed him, if Rabbi wrote him a letter. This was back when Glenn Beck was still on Fox News, but we did try to get some of the information to Glenn Beck that Rabbi had, and very soon after that, Glenn Beck started covering it on the air. And Rabbi was sort of like in a sigh of relief,
Yes.
well, I
And
think what it was about was it was around 2012 that Obama was bringing the Muslims over. He was flying them in
right.
and setting them up in Dearborn.
I think that Rabbi was trying to get Glenn Beck the information about radical Islam,
Yeah.
and nobody was talking about it. So, and it's just kind of been an ebb and a flow through the media. Well, we've had this situation now, this where the National Guard members were attacked. One did not survive her wounds. The other is still fighting in the hospital. And we find out that the person who did this is shouting Allahu Akbar. So we've been trying to continue to inform you about Islam and the goals. I mean, I think we've been talking about that the last few programs about how we're seeing more and more getting into. I mean, the deal now is to not drive airplanes into buildings. The deal is to get inside and get into the politics, get into the system, get into the government, and change it from within.
Right.
And we've been talking about that. And like I said, I was heartened to see last Tuesday evening on Flashpoint, Gene Bailey and the crew there saying that they're going to be talking about this, especially in this upcoming year.
Yay.
He was playing videos of imams around the country, maybe even around the world. I don't know where all those videos were coming from, saying that yes, we are not going, our jihad is not, with violence. We are going to change the governments from within. And we're going to get as many of our members into the political realm as possible. Now we've been telling you that. We've been noticing that. We've got now one of those that's now the mayor of New York City. We've got all of that going on in Dearborn, Michigan. We've even got something going on in Tennessee. We've got, of course, mosques aplenty in Texas. We've got a governor there that's trying to, deal with the onslaught there of them trying to create no-go zone cities there and trying to change, of course, the laws there, and he's trying to battle that. So it's beginning to,
And we have the billion-dollar fraud scam going on up in
yes,
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
in
Right.
Minneapolis,
Among the Somalis.
the
Yes.
Somalis.
With Rashida Tlaib as
Right.
the main
Yeah.
leader, who
So
married her brother to stay in this country.
right.
Right.
So that goal there now, I mean, they're not, like I said, they're not as interested in doing these acts like what happened to our National Guard, although when they do, I mean, some of them, they feel that's their only way to complete their what would you call it?
Jihad.
They're well, it's jihad, but it's
But
like they're
it's a caliphate.
for Allah, and yes, the establishment of the caliphate and all. They go ahead and they do violent acts. We had talked about the thought that it would be smaller violent acts in many places that they possibly would try to do to try to paralyze society. I'm going to be talking. We'll go through what Amir Tsarfati has to say, but he was posting on Telegram um, videos of these people claiming, free Palestine and setting off smoke bombs and doing their calls to prayer in all of the Christmas markets around the world.
Yeah, there was an article that I read not very long ago by an expert in terrorism,
Mhm.
and said that now the terrorists have stopped planning on coming into the United States and creating a terror act.
Mhm.
What they're doing is they're radicalizing people within the United
Right,
States. So that's their current goal, is to radicalize people here that's
right,
already here.
right.
So that's where
Because
they're concentrating.
we've had open borders for 4 years.
Right,
We've had people flown in from everywhere around the world,
right.
and we don't know where they are. This guy that did the shooting there in Washington, D.C., was supposedly vetted by the administration.
Yeah,
And of course, Dana Perino, just on one of the programs, she said, how are they going to vet them? They was
right.
coming from Afghanistan.
They don't know anything about them.
She said, where would you deal with the government there? It
Right,
was no, it was the Taliban
right,
in Afghanistan.
right.
Like this person was going to be vetted. How many of those people that were quote unquote vetted are here? No, they were just allowed to come here. They were just allowed to
Right,
do and be go wherever they wanted to be.
right.
So, like I said, I'm heartened. And one of the things that uh, Gene Bailey said, well, he was talking with his friend Bill Federer, William Federer, and he said, well, I've got a book about that. And they've been offering this on Flashpoint. Now, this book I've had for many, many years. In fact, William Federer used to do, uh, his patriotic minutes, and he used to do them here at TCT. And he and Rabbi knew each other very well.
Right.
And Rabbi had a bunch of these books. He himself was, because this was I'm trying to see what the year was here, that because this was well, it should be right there, shouldn't it? Yes.
That's right.
This one was put out in August of 2008. And so Rabbi was doing his best to get this book out. And now Flashpoint is offering this book. And it, of course, says on the back here, it says in 2006, Keith Ellison was the first Muslim elected to the U.S. Congress. He swore in on a Quran. Most Americans know little about the Quran, who wrote it, and how Islam spread. In 100 years of Muhammad's death, warriors subdued Persia, the Holy Land, North Africa, Spain, and southern France. Find Islam's connection to the stirrup, Santa Claus, Dracula, Columbus, Don Quixote, Captain John Smith, and coffee. William Frederick, there's probably, nobody better that in his historical analysis than William Federer. He's written so many amazing books. But I encourage you, they sold out of them immediately, like within a day
Yeah.
through Flashpoint. I think they had like 2,000 gone. So if you can, I mean, I'm sure it's still available. It's called What Every American Needs to Know About the Quran, A History of Islam and the United States. And so it's what you need to know. And, I started reading I think I might have read this a long, long, long time ago. I can't remember for sure. I know I've had the book for a long, long time. So if you can, get a hold of it. It's William J. Federer. He spells his name Federer, Federer. So if you need to know what this is all about, this is a very, very excellent book about that. So
I had a cousin, or I have a cousin. He's probably retired now. He's in his 70s, but he was a missionary in the Middle East. And he came back and he lived in the Detroit area. And when they were setting up the caliphate in Dearborn, he was going around to area churches dressed in Arab garb, in Muslim garb, telling people about the Quran and watch out for it. And he always said, he says there is one word that never shows up in the Quran, and that word is love,
Right.
because they are slaves to Allah.
Mhm.
Right.
And he says anybody who tells you that just because it's Jacob and Esau that they're worshiping the same God, he says in John first chapter 4, it says that God is love. Among
Right.
all things, God is love.
Right.
Mhm.
And if in the Quran it doesn't mention that God is love, it is not the same God.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
mean, in fact, Allah, as they're talking about, what was the other thing that Allah has no son,
right.
you know, they say that. But they have a weird, I mean, I was reading just a little bit of the beginning of this and the mishmash that occurs, that puts together that, he's got in here the Quran, Jesus's death and resurrection. It's in there, but it's been, there's a confusion over the Trinity. He's got the Jewish influence and the confusion of Jewish beliefs. It's interesting, when you get into reading this and understanding the mishmash that Mohammed put together. Of course, Mohammed couldn't read.
Well, no, it's
And
already Christianity had already been in
yes,
existence
uh huh,
for what, 630 years.
yes, uh huh,
And so he copied quite a bit of it out of the Old Testament and put it in the Quran.
right,
And so
yep,
a lot of people don't realize that that's what he did. But
yeah.
yeah,
He's it's all
yeah, it's something else.
yeah. It all talks about it there. I encourage you to get that book because, like I said, their goal is to get all into the political scene,
Right,
and they're coming to a neighborhood near you.
right,
And so you need to get familiar with this and you need to be able to talk about it, with your local representatives, politicians, make
right.
everybody aware. Even your pastors, get one of those for your pastor and have them know about it because I dare say they probably don't. Oh, it's just another religion. Well, I did hear one person. I can't remember who it was. It was just like I said, at times I have the TV on in the background and on Fox News, I heard somebody say, well, maybe we have to re-examine this, that maybe this is not just a religion. And like I have said before, they do not separate church and state.
No, they don't.
So this is not exact. This is Islam is their political structure
Yep.
and how they do business.
Sharia law.
And so it's something that you can maybe, and we'll have to see if the lawyers can deal with that in the sense that you're not establishing a religion. I remember, gosh, I would say about 20 to 30 years ago, with the first influx of that I remember of Muslims coming into this country, most of them for their education. A lot of those people, while they claimed to be Muslim, were actually kind of escaping the oppression.
Right.
And so they were highly educated, got into whatever higher education profession. And a lot of them, well, they'd go back and see their family, they'd send money home to help out. But they really didn't, they got here to get away from having to do all of this stuff of jihad, do all of this. I mean, they'd pay their money, but we're over here to kind of get left alone.
Right.
Well, that's not what's going on now.
Nope.
In fact, several people have come on and said that basically Europe is lost right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's not there. It's not coming back. That it's already been taken over. Those people went in and just like those Somalis, used the system there against the political establishment. They came in there, did not have any intention of assimilating. got into their own little conclaves,
Yep.
started getting, because they didn't get jobs. They didn't know how to speak. So they got all this free government money.
Yep.
Even in Europe. They started having beaucoup kids
Mhm.
that the husband and his several wives, he didn't work, they didn't work. They were on the system to drain the system of money.
And our government was raising them.
That's happening here, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about Europe too.
Right.
Okay, so they were doing that over here as well. They get over here, don't have any because they're trying to break the United States down,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
We're the infidel. So if they can clean us out of as much money as they possibly can, the Somalis were sending their money back to their
Terrorist groups.
terrorist groups.
Al-Shabaab.
Yeah.
Al-Shabaab.
Yeah, it's a
yes.
terrorist group.
Now,
They sent
now
$1 billion back.
that raises a question. Is there a contingent of Americans who wanted this to happen?
Well,
Because it's like, okay, we'll tear down America first and then we'll take on the Muslims. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we know that there is a group out there, not Muslim, but these we've talked about them, the billionaires, the
Right.
Soros types who want chaos to happen in this country so that the entire government collapses so they can come in and swoop in and create their nirvana,
Right.
create government in their image the way they want.
Right.
Now the Muslims are using that because they want the whole thing to collapse and turn it into another Muslim nation because everywhere they put their foot, they've claimed for Allah and they want the whole world, and they say the whole world will be Islam.
Right.
And that's the caliphate that they're trying to establish.
what was the former Obama's chief of staff that became the mayor of Chicago? What was his name?
Rahm Emanuel.
Rahm
Rahm
Emanuel.
Emanuel. I've never seen a crisis that I've never let a crisis go to waste.
Right.
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 Well, I think it's you could also say that a Democrat will say never let graft and corruption go to waste because I want some of it.
Right.
Right.
Well, I
There,
mean,
most of the people that are involved in this from a political point of view, trying to tear down the government, are all Democrats.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would not be surprised if this $1 billion that went to Al Shabaab, that some of that didn't work its way back into the Democratic Party of that
They
region.
did donate some of it to the Democratic
Yes.
Party. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing like the teachers union. They get all this money from the
Right.
government and then they funnel it back through the government back to the Democratic Party to get their
$50 billion
candidates.
worth.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
they sent it to NGOs,
Yes.
non-governmental organizations that are bent on destroying the family. In the
And they're
United States.
disguising these terrorist organizations and they're calling them NGOs because they are non-government organizations.
Right.
Al Shabaab, ISIS,
Right.
Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
mean,
But we've got CARE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the acronym for CARE, but anyway,
yeah.
all of these groups, these Muslim groups that are in
Right.
this country, and they're trying
Council for Islamic Relations, I think is what it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah. Council
Right.
of American Islamic Relations.
Yeah. So, and that's a terrorist organization, basically.
Yeah.
That they go under that guise of, oh, we're a philanthropic
We're
organization.
actually the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right. That's what they are.
Yeah.
So, this is what's going on. And like I said, I was heartened to see that more people are becoming aware of it. When this whole thing first started, with like I said, the shooting in D.C., I kept seeing them talk about the immigration problem on the news, and it's like, this is not an immigration problem. This is a Muslim takeover problem,
Right.
and so it was, like I said, they're finally beginning to recognize, well, this guy shouted Allahu Akbar when he was doing it. And then they found another guy that I can't remember where he's from, but they've shut him down because he had all kinds of intentions of blowing things up.
It was out of Texas.
Well, the guy
Yeah.
Yeah,
from
it was out of
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably,
So-
you're probably right in the middle of Plano.
Yeah.
An
So,
epic.
right. So he had all kinds of, visions of doing this stuff. And so how many are out there? Don't know. But the borders were open, and you can thank your Democratic leaders for that. For the previous to the Trump administration getting in and closing the borders, we have I don't know how many millions are here.
Yeah. A lot.
We don't know. So, and of them, I mean, it doesn't take that many to be radicalized.
I think it took 9 to take down the Twin Towers.
Yes. So it
Doesn't take very many.
doesn't take.
No.
Yeah.
So,
If you're dead set on destroying something.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, they even had enough left over to, down a plane in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, otherwise, where was that actually going? They had
Right.
it determined between the Capitol and the White House, one
Right.
of the two.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah. They didn't. The people on the plane got wind of what was going on, and they thwarted it before. I think they thought really that they were going for the White House on that one. So,
there's a movie called Flight 93. They put a picture of the Capitol whenever the terrorists took over. There was a picture of the Capitol on the pilot's steering wheel.
hmm
That it's like, okay, this is what we're going for, but
Yeah.
we don't know that that's actually where they were going.
no,
Right.
we
So-
don't. So, anyway, I'm going to get into some headlines here, and then in just a little bit, I'm going to talk a little bit more about, I guess, to say how the donuts are made for this program in a way. That's the way I noticed that.
Got to make the donuts.
How we put this together. But let's do some headlines here. Breitbart saying Trump formalizes historic peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Rwanda. I'm hoping in this that some of the killing of Christians can stop
Yes.
because the Democratic Republic of Congo was as bad as Sudan and Nigeria. With some of that. But it says here that President Donald Trump, along with the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix, oh my, Shakidi, I guess. Tisha, I don't know. I can't say it. And the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, signed a historic peace agreement dubbed the Washington Accords to officially bring an end to a decades-long conflict between the countries. And the leaders signed the Washington Accords at the recently renamed Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace, previously known as the Institute of Peace, on Thursday afternoon. In this holy season, we prepare to celebrate the birth of the Prince of Peace. We have come to the United States Institute of Peace to sign a historic agreement that will end one of the longest running conflicts anywhere in the world, with far more than 10 million people killed. That's
Oh,
what
wow.
President Trump said there. And it says here that today we commit to stopping decades of violence and bloodshed to begin a new era of harmony and cooperation between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. He says, I want to thank the two courageous leaders. They are courageous leaders. And Trump noted that he met with both Shekedi and Kagame in the Oval Office before motorcading over to the Institute of Peace for the signing. And we discussed the importance of upholding this new agreement, very detailed, powerful agreement, he said. Trump thanked a number of foreign leaders who were on hand for the ceremony, and they list all of those people, even foreign ministers of Qatar. Now, unfortunately, Qatar. That's another story for another day, but they are probably the leading problem of the propaganda that's been happening in this country.
Yeah.
And they are top Muslim Brotherhood compliant, I guess you could say. Very importantly, this agreement also creates a new framework for economic prosperity. And he's going on. He said we're involved with sending some of our biggest and greatest companies over the countries over to the two countries, and we're going to take out some of the rare earth and take out some of the assets and pay, and everybody's going to make a lot of money, Mr. Trump said. So again, rare earth minerals kind of at the core of this,
Well,
right?
A number of years ago, they issued warnings about the fact that China was trying to take over pretty much all of Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and what they were after was the rare earth minerals over there.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't do anything at that time.
At
We
that
weren't
time.
interested in rare earth minerals, but we're now interested.
Well, we're now interested in them,
Yeah.
and so anyway, that's
when we're threatened to be cut off from them
Right.
worldwide. Yeah.
President Trump. Now, let's see. Let's do these. It says here 2 Virginia twin brothers were arrested for their alleged roles in destroying government databases hosted by a federal government contractor, the Justice Department said on Wednesday. This is according to Breitbart News. Manu, no, Munieb and Sohaib Akhter, both 34 years old, were indicted in November for allegedly plotting to destroy databases used to store government information. Munaid was charged with conspiracy to commit computer fraud and to destroy records, 2 counts of computer fraud, theft of government records, and 2 counts of aggravated identity theft, while Sohaib, I guess, or Soheeb, I don't know how he says his name, was charged with conspiracy to commit computer fraud, destroying records, and computer fraud. Bloomberg News reported in May how the 2 former federal contractors had compromised data across many government agencies, which included Internal Revenue Service and General Services Administration.
Wow.
The Akhter brothers also pled guilty in 2016 to federal charges of conspiracy regarding data breaches at the State Department and a cosmetics company. The 2 worked at Opexus, a federal contractor that helped process government records. And so it says here, Fox News Digital wrote, following their termination as federal contractors, the pair allegedly attempted to harm their former employer and its U.S. government customers by accessing computers without authorization, issuing commands to bar others from modifying the databases before they were removed, deleting databases, stealing information, and destroying evidence of their activities, the DOJ said on Wednesday in the latest case against the 2 men. In February, Munaib Akhter deleted nearly 100 databases storing U.S. government information,
Wow.
with many of the databases containing Freedom of Information Act records administered by the federal government, as well as sensitive investigative files of federal government components, the indictment claims. After deleting the DHS database, Munaib Akhter allegedly asked an artificial intelligence platform how to clear system logs after deleting databases. The brothers reportedly discussed cleaning their house, worrying about a potential police search of their property. And it says here, Munaib Akhter obtained information from the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission without approved access after he was terminated from Opexus and was accused of having stolen copies of IRS information stored on a virtual machine, which included personal information as well as tax information of at least 450 people. Sounds like they were going to get some of this personal information to start deleting bank accounts and things, probably. And of course it goes on, but these guys, 34 years old, their name is suspicious to me.
Yeah.
Government workers trying to clear our databases, stealing personal information. Kind of sounds like what was going on in Somalia,
Yes.
doesn't it? Now this is the one I was going to get to kind of talk about, like I said, how the donuts are made here. I have been increasingly having difficulty. I do my best every week to try to get to honest news sources, digging through the mire that's out there. Our country, divided left and right, and the left seems to have taken over most of the media, most of the information that we get. We have a few conservative or what you call fair and balanced things. But a lot of times you have to dig past it. Some go to other sources out of this country that look back at our country to kind of give me information. Same thing goes on in Israel as well. They have an extremely leftist, we'll say, news media, extremely liberal news media. Very tough to get accurate information there. I do know that I don't think I have it handy, but Avi Abelo was talking about he had a pretty neat post. I may try to bring that up about how the people in Israel are getting disgusted with it. and are finally understanding how much of the deep state leftist has infiltrated their government system and their news media, and they're getting quite tired of it.
Excuse
But
me.
anyway, this is the there have been these reports coming out about, and I'm not going to go into all of the details here, but there's been a report came out against Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Okay. And then, of course, now I'm seeing in the past couple of days, they're going after Pete Hegseth again
Right.
with some of the same old stuff. But anyway, the person that I saw talk about this first was this Miranda Devine. Miranda Devine is part of Fox News. She's under the Murdoch umbrella.
Mm.
I don't know, but and she is. I don't know I don't know if she's British or if she's Australian. She has an English accent. Okay. Now, of course, Rupert Murdoch and his crew come from, I believe, originally Australia, had owned a lot of the media in Europe,
Right.
in England.
Yep.
So anyway, but I saw her on with Laura Ingraham, and she was saying that she was quite disturbed when she saw this because a lot of the people that she gets what she considers very good information from are on this report that was coming out critical of Kash Patel. Okay. So, what do you do with this? How do you find? I mean, I'm not on the inside of Washington, D.C.
Right.
So, I mean, and this is, like I said, this is how I have to weigh these stories all the time
Right.
because it's very hard to get an unbiased report. It's just like I heard, who did I hear? Oh, I heard a local news person today. An anchorette, okay, and she's reading. Well, Pete Hegseth is on the hot seat, and but so first of all, and they go, and then she goes into, it's an intro to the nationwide report, right? And I'm sitting there saying, she's not in Washington D.C. This girl, that's what they've done is they pulled the story. If you've ever worked in the news, you know a little bit. It's like, okay, they pulled the copy.
Mm.
All right.
Yep.
This is the copy. The producers have pulled something to do an intro into a story.
Right.
Okay, so they're just pulling what the networks have put together.
Right.
And this is why nobody trusts the media anymore, because she's like, in this, it's a flippant little tease into a story. Pete Hegseth's on the hot seat. What's that supposed to mean?
Right.
Right.
How does she know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if she were, I don't know if she's the producer of the news program or not, or because a lot of times the news anchors do produce their own programs. They have producers with them that help them gather the stories, but they are the ultimate, what you'd call, news director of that newscast.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say she would have done better to say something like that Pete Hegseth as, just something more generic about actually what was happening, that he was going to be called in to testify about this current boat bombing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
she could have said that there are questions on Capitol Hill and Pete Hegseth is going to have to answer them. Something generic, okay? But she comes up, oh, he's on the hot seat. That is the bias of the person who's done the story.
Right.
You're seeing obvious bias in the statement. You don't see anybody looking at the story and just giving a report about it.
It's not just bias; it's propaganda. Let's
Right,
call it what it is.
right. So, yes, Pete Hegseth is going to be questioned on Capitol Hill by some people there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know if he's going to be on the hot seat or not?
Well, they're
Right?
just throwing stuff at the wall to see
So-
what sticks. Yeah.
So this is obvious bias in the media, and that's even to the local anchors. They're not doing any thinking of their own.
Yeah.
They're not looking at that. I mean, if I were the person sitting there as the anchor, I'd say, I'm not going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you a little bit of a tease for the story. I don't care, as a person, I don't, it would be my job as the anchor to not let you know what my political bias is.
Right. There's no objectivity at all.
Right. I'm supposed to be a person there that's not just a, rip and read newsy person. I'm
Right.
supposed to be doing some thinking. But anyway, anyway,
Because Rush Limbaugh used to talk about that. He would say, back in the days of Walter Cronkite and Edward R. Murrow and all those guys, it's like, what is your job? Just tell me what your job is. Well, my job is to report the news in a fair way to the best of my ability. And he says, nowadays, he says, somebody gets out of college. What is your job? I'm here to make a difference.
yeah, that stuff. Yeah, and so yeah, they're pushing an agenda.
Exactly.
And so that's why people. So anyway, Miranda Devine. Yeah, she has this story. This came out on November 30th. I'm not going to read all of it, but it says damning report labels FBI rudderless ship under Kash Patel, with him and Dan Bongino more concerned with building personal resumes. And it goes through here. It says that it was she called it a troubling new report card on the first 6 months of Patel's leadership. Concludes he's in over his head, and his deputy, Dan Bongino, is something of a clown, according to the alliance, which in two previous reports warned about crippling DEI and politicization of the FBI during the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a group
Yeah.
that has gotten together,
Mm-hmm.
and they issued a 115-page report, and then they're critical of Patel. They're saying he's inexperienced.
Mm-hmm.
They said, however, an additional source described him as very personable and likable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they like him, while noting he created a culture of mistrust and uncertainty among the ranks. Okay. Both he and Bongino criticized for arrogance and unfortunate obsession with social media. They didn't like that part of it either. Okay. She says here, the report was written in the style of an official FBI intelligence assessment, analyzing reports from 24 FBI sources and subsources and using anecdotes to illustrate troubling themes. And then they did this whole thing about some sort of jacket that Patel wanted before he went out to address the Charlie Kirk
He
assassination.
wanted a jacket with an FBI logo on
Yeah, right.
it.
Well, it
Well-
was. It was.
Yeah.
He because Megyn Kelly was actually talked to Patel about it. He says, "Yeah, I got a patch, but it was from a local law enforcement guy."
Oh,
Mhm.
And
So
yeah,
he's addressed this and said, but anyway, it says here, the director was not happy with the way the investigation was going and had earlier yelled at a special agent in charge, Robert Bowles, and directed an expletive-laden tirade over perceived blunders in the case. Bongino later called Bowles and apologized for Patel's tirade. Okay, so these sorts of things going on. It says in another situation at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia, Patel was said to be upset when he heard about a discussion that took place among a few dozen FBI personnel about his request that he would be issued an FBI firearm. And it says here, then they said something about televisions in FBI field offices are now reported to be tuned to leftist channels, MSNBC, CNN, but not Fox News. The report, subtitled "A Pulse Check of the First 6 Months of Patel's Leadership," will be presented to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees this week. I'm assuming they've already done it. It was never intended to be a hit piece in any way, shape, or form, says the author, who requested anonymity to avoid jeopardizing their positions. But the anecdotal reporting from FBI personnel skewed 80-20 negative. There is good news for Patel in the report card. The rollback of the DEI policies under him is welcomed by multiple sources who say it has reduced the administrative burden. And it says one source described immigration raids in which the FBI assists ICE as overwhelmingly successful. So there are positive things in this report as well. I haven't heard how the media has spun it yet. But anyway, I think that this Miranda Devine, when she was talking with, I think with the little bit that I saw of her with Laura Ingram, she was quite surprised at this report. She was like, wow, didn't expect that. And is hoping that they take a little bit of constructive criticism from it. But that's not, of course, what the media will do with that.
Oh,
They will use that. And here's what's happening. This is all, part of a playbook that they're continuing. This Representative Shree Thanader, Democrat, Michigan, announced Wednesday that he plans to introduce articles of impeachment against Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, referencing a resurfaced 2016 remark on war crimes as questions mount over a U.S. military strike that killed survivors of a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. So they're digging up stuff
mm-hmm.
from all over the place.
Sure.
In a post on X on Wednesday, Representative Shree Thanader shared a report from the Hill highlighting 2016 remarks by now Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, in which Hegseth observed, I do think there have to be ways, excuse me, I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. Thanader added in his own comment, I agree, this is why I'll be introducing articles of impeachment against Secretary Hegseth. So they're doing everything in their power. This is what I'm saying, making the donuts for this. I've got to weigh all of this out. I'm bringing you that story. I'm not giving you any answers as to whether or not, evidently, yes, an FBI report came out.
Yeah.
How much of that's true? How much of it isn't true? I don't know. Not in Washington, D.C. I know that Dan Bongino, he absolutely, I don't know if I have that here or not. I couldn't get this to print. Yeah, it says here that in the Daily Beast, Bongino melts down at Murdoch journalist who revealed FBI agents call him a clown. So he's mad at Miranda Devine. So what does he say about her? It says he lashed out at her, and she hosts the Rupert Murdoch-owned paper's podcast, Pod Force One. And she initially, of course, revealed the contents of the 115-page report. Okay. And what did he say back to her? They replay all of this stuff of what it was said. And he goes, Miranda loves attacking our reform agenda with gossipy anecdotes from disgruntled former employees because she's upset that her reporting keeps falling apart under scrutiny, he wrote. You can always count on Miranda for a timed hit piece when the director and I make big changes. Miranda prefers the old guard. I don't. Full steam ahead. So, she, she was just reporting what's happened.
Yeah.
There has been an FBI report. Hard to sift through this stuff. I want to bring the information to you, but understand, like I followed up with this Breitbart piece, the Democrats are constantly on the attack of everybody in this administration because they're out of power.
Right. They're trying to control the narrative,
And
which they haven't had control of for a while.
right. Which leads me to this article out of Breitbart, because it's not just here. The United Kingdom's PM's Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney ran secret censorship campaign to destroy Breitbart News.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? A crackdown on freedom of expression and dissenting thought by the UK's Labour government was hard baked into its DNA long before it took power, with the most powerful unelected official in British politics having run a shadowy AstroTurf organization working to destroy unaligned news outlets, including Mark. Now, we know that the BBC is being sued by Donald Trump because they edited video to make it seem like he was encouraging people to attack the Capitol on January 6th.
Right.
Now we know about this shadowy Morgan McSweeney.
Mhm.
trying to take down Breitbart News. This
Right.
is a Labor Party think tank cut out posing as a grassroots anti fake news group, worked to kneecap left wing outlets that were a threat to its globalist left worldview and right wing outlets that positively covered U.S. Donald Trump and his Mr. Brexit Nigel Farage, it claimed. The revelations come in an article published by the Drop Site News by South African investigative journalist Paul Holden, citing a trove of documents that expose the operation and promoting his forthcoming book. So you got somebody from South Africa who's having to come along and out these people in the UK.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you see that this is what I have
It's
to
the
wade through every
This is
week.
the Russian dossier all over again.
Yes. Yeah, crucially, Morgan McSweeney, the British political activist who propelled Sir Keir Starmer to the office of Prime Minister, went on from leading this well funded quintessential example of astroturfing and became Starmer's chief of staff in government, making the alleged censorial schemer the most powerful unelected official in British politics. Deep state outed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We know Starmer has been, Trump has tried to corral him, but he is a leftist and has promoted. He's gone against Israel. He's promoted the Muslims, just like the guy in France, Macron.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's why most. But he's a leftist, and that's what we've got. So you see what I have to muddle through every week
Right.
to try to make some headway through all of this because you've got somebody who is in the government of the UK trying to take down the media there and the honest reporting there. And even the people that are there in England who try to come out against and say what the Muslims are doing, they're getting arrested.
Mhm.
So it's not
Yeah.
it's not merely just they get their social media taken down.
Right.
They get their whatever they post on in Facebook, on Twitter, which is now X, they're going to jail for. They tried to figure out a way to put Elon Musk in jail.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's so simple nowadays to convict a ham sandwich.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, how did Donald Trump get elected after being convicted well, he's a convicted felon. You can't have him run for president. You set it up that way.
Yes. So
The ham sandwich theory.
yeah,
Under today's laws, you can convict a ham sandwich.
right. So this
Where have we
is
heard that before?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just just wanted to give you a little bit of an insight here. Got a story about people in our government and then people. It's just it's something else to try to have to get through all this.
Excuse me.
I trust Breitbart. Like I said, I've been going to Amir Sarfati. I've been trying to go. I have to get out of underneath the umbrella
Well,
of
Satan
what's
is
controlling.
very good at deception.
Yes,
Oh,
he is,
sure. Yeah.
and it's
We
something
know that
else.
he's really good at it.
Yeah.
So
But if you ask a Democrat, oh, I just watched the big four: ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN.
Well, that's
like, why do you bother?
that's like a relative of mine that's now passed away and told me one day, he says, uh, I just, this guy I watched, he just preaches the Bible. Yeah. He believes that blacks are apes. And he was out of South Arkansas.
Oh
Okay.
my.
Yeah. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but he's now passed away.
Uh-huh.
But he was absolutely one of the most. He was on the television all the time,
Uh-huh.
preaching false doctrine
Oh my.
constantly. Yeah, he says he tells me, well, I just watch this guy and all he does is teach the Bible, word for word.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
teach the Bible word for word and
Mhm.
still mess it
Be
up.
It's
deceptive.
like, well, you tell me where
Yeah.
Darwinism is in
Yeah.
the Bible.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
in the Garden of Eden, didn't Satan use the Bible?
Yeah, he used God's word.
He
Yeah,
used
Yeah.
God's word to
Mhm.
deceive,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just a little bit,
It's
tweak
unbelievable.
it just a little bit,
It's unbelievable.
and you can. It's very, very. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to try to bring
Yeah,
the stories every week. So anyway,
And we appreciate it, by the way. We appreciate your
I'm-
effort.
I wasn't.
least I do.
I'm not trying to be a hero here. I'm trying to, or
Well-
ask for accolades, but I'm just trying to give an insight as and just to try to let you know out there, you've got to question everything.
You do.
We're doing our best to be the watchman on the wall for you, but
do.
and you can even question us. That you know, I'm not. I'm not
I-
going to
I
say that
like-
I'm going to get things absolutely
I like
correct.
that statement that God made. He said, "Come, let us reason together.
Mhm.
And though your sins be like crimson, they shall be white as wool."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, reason together.
Yes.
Can you imagine the creator of the universe telling you to come, let us reason
Reason
together?
together.
In other words, we should be looking at his scripture and reasoning properly and dividing it properly.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. That's
well,
what we
you know,
should be
it's
doing.
it's like what Barack
Yeah.
Obama said. You Republicans, you can come along with us,
That's
but you're going to have to sit in the back of the bus.
that's right.
I heard a little, just a tiny bit of Ken Copeland this week, and it's interesting what he said. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough to read your Bible,
Yep.
right?
You got to study it.
You've got to read it out loud. You've got to. He said it's hearing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to hear it. Faith comes by hearing,
And that's what the
and
Bible
so
says, meditate on the word.
read it out loud.
It doesn't mean blank your mind and totally meditate without nothing inside. What it actually means from a biblical point of view is when you meditate on the word, you repeat the word.
Yes,
You repeat it out
and
loud.
repeat it out loud.
And that's the way the young Jewish children memorized the entire Old Testament was by repetition,
Mm-hmm.
constant
Right.
repetition.
Yep.
Yeah. And
So-
while we're on that subject, folks, faith doesn't come by asking for something and saying, Lord, I want to be healed, but I want it to be done with this step, and then this step, and then this step, and then this step. I want it done in those 4 or 6 steps, Lord. And I thank you for that.
Yeah,
And the Lord's going to look at you. He's going to shake his head and he says, I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it.
that's right.
Right.
And it's going to have nothing to do with you if I do it at all.
That's right.
You know?
Well, he's promised. I mean, well, it's like when they came up to Yeshua and said, "Hey, he said, what do you want?" And he said they would either say, "My sight," or if it be your will,
Mhm.
And he said, "It's my will. Behold." And so that's what we have to lean on as far as like healing. But I'm not going to go off into the healing thing. But anyway,
right. And
we
I mean-
we just know that it is His will,
Mhm.
and that we call it done by His.
Well, there's a scripture in First John that says, "This is the confidence that we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears
That's it.
us, and we know that He hears us. We know that we have what we have asked
That's
of Him."
Yep.
Right.
So,
So-
that's a direct quote,
And-
folks,
and-
right out of
you
First
stand
John.
and you stand on it.
That's
that
right.
it is done.
That's
Right.
And we can't treat him like
Yeah.
he's a step parent.
Yeah.
We only talk to him when we need something. He's not a genie in a lamp that you rub on.
Right.
That's right.
But I encourage you, if you're reading your Bible verses, hold it up and read them out loud
And memorize them.
and memorize them.
There you go.
Yep. So this is from the Jewish News Syndicate. The IAF strikes Hezbollah terror targets in Lebanon. Yes, stuff's still going on.
In
Big
Lebanon.
time over there.
Yeah.
The Israeli Air Force on Thursday afternoon conducted a round of airstrikes on Hezbollah terrorist targets in southern Lebanon. The operation targeted several weapons storage facilities located in the heart of civilian populations, the military said. This is another example of Hezbollah's cynical use of Lebanese civilians as human shields. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And its operations from within civilian assets. Hezbollah, Hamas, whatever it is, same thing, right? Same modus operandi. The presence of Hezbollah sites violated the November 6, 2024 ceasefire understandings between Jerusalem and Beirut, the army stated. The IDF will continue to act to remove any threat to the state of Israel. Before the aerial strikes, steps were taken to reduce the chance of harm to non-combatants, including warning the population, use of precision munitions, aerial observations, and additional intelligence information. The attacks occurred about an hour after the IDF warned residents of two Lebanese towns to stay clear of Hezbollah infrastructure. In the near future, the IDF will strike military infrastructure belonging to the Hezbollah terror group across southern Lebanon in order to address Hezbollah's prohibited attempts to rebuild. And that's from the head of the Arab media branch in the IDF spokesperson's unit. That's Colonel Avishai Adrai. Adrai urged these residents of Jabaa and Maruna to stay away from two buildings near the Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure. And it goes on to tell how they were warning them. And it says here the ceasefire went into effect on November 27th, 2024, following an intense 2-month IDF military campaign that led to the weakening of Iran's proxy's leadership. The deal was cemented by the Israeli and Lebanese governments and 5 mediating countries, including the United States. The Trump administration has set December 31st, 2025, as the deadline for the Lebanese government to disarm the terror group. Israel Hayom cited diplomatic sources with knowledge of the matter as saying last week, according to the Channel 12 report on Tuesday, Beirut has been aware of the attempts to rebuild, but is turning a blind eye, despite having voted some 3 months ago to bring all weapons under state control. Shosh Bedrosian, a spokeswoman for the prime minister's office in Jerusalem, said on Thursday that Israel will defend itself and Hezbollah is required to disarm regardless of conversations that take place. The state of Israel will continue to insist on the full enforcement of the ceasefire in Lebanon to ensure that this terror group is completely cut off, that they're not rearming, that there's no threat to the state of Israel, its citizens, and our security forces. So they're fighting Hamas. Hamas refuses to disarm, and now Hezbollah refusing to disarm and using civilians as shields.
Typical, isn't it?
Yep.
That was kind of like the title I put on tonight's show. He makes peace with Africa. What about the Muslims in the U.S.? He shouldn't make peace with them. They should be deported.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday tapped his military secretary, Major General Roman Goffman, as the next Mossad director. The current chief of the spy agency, David Barnea, will end his 5-year term in June of 2026. According to Channel 12, and this is in Israel's Channel 12, Netanyahu's selection of Goffman, a Mossad outsider, means that he passed over the two candidates suggested by Barnea. Interesting, huh? The appointment was submitted to the Advisory Committee for Senior Appointments for review. Goffman's appointment is not expected to face much opposition, unlike the more controversial appointment of former IDF General David Zini to lead the Shin Bet Domestic Security Agency, which faced weeks of court petitions and appeals. Zini was eventually sworn into the post in October. Born in Belarus, Goffman moved to Israel in 1990 at the age of 14 with his family. During his military career, he rose through the IDF Armored Corps, becoming a division commander before out of combat roles. Goffman is a highly distinguished officer, said Netanyahu's office in a statement. His appointment as the prime minister's military secretary in the midst of the war proved that he possesses exceptional professional capabilities, from his rapid entry into the role to his immediate and significant involvement in the 7 arenas of the war. I find it interesting he's coming from the outside. I'm wondering, again, I have to wonder about deep state, right?
Yep.
And so the PMO said that Goffman maintained continuous coordination with all intelligence and security agencies, especially the Mossad. Netanyahu's office lauded Goffman's creativity, initiative, ingenuity, deep knowledge of the enemy, complete discretion, and strict confidentiality. The prime minister believes that Major General Goffman is the most qualified and suitable candidate to serve as Mossad director and wishes him great success in this important role. Said the PMO, speaking ahead of a cabinet meeting on the budget on Thursday. Netanyahu stressed that Goffman worked closely with the Mossad throughout the war, praising him for his initiative and willingness to engage. IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Ayil Zamir, meanwhile, met with Goffman on Thursday to congratulate him on being appointed as the next director of Mossad. Goldman is considered close to Netanyahu, having served as his military secretary for nearly 2 years. During that time, he traveled on the premier's behalf for various tasks and oversaw the implementation of the prime minister's directives in the IDF. And it goes on to talk about his entire career. So, uh, in 2024, he was appointed as Netanyahu's military secretary. Before entering the role, Goffman wrote a controversial document recommending Israel retain military control over the Gaza Strip after defeating Hamas in the war. Aha!
Yeah.
That would cause me to want to put him head of Mossad, right?
There you go.
The IDF said in response that this is an internal and classified document that presents the position of the officer only and does not represent the official position of the IDF. And it says here, Goffman is the latest senior officer to be appointed to a top position outside of the military after Zini, who headed the IDF's training command, took over the Shin Bet. Similarly, retired senior police officer Yoram Halevi was appointed to head Kogat, COGAT. The appointment of a military general to head the Mossad is rare, but not unprecedented. Mir Dagan, a major general who served, or Dagan, Mir Dagan, a major general who served in the military between 1963 and 1996, was appointed in 2002 to head the spy agency, where he served until 2011. Danny Yatom, who also served in the IDF between 1963 and 1996, was a military secretary to the prime minister and became Mossad chief immediately after the end of his army service, heading the intelligence agency until 1998. So, Dagan, maybe it's Dagan, how you say that name. Dagan, I don't know. And Prime Minister Netanyahu has said on Tuesday that it would be possible to negotiate a non-aggression pact with Syria as desired by President Donald Trump if the Syrian government is willing to establish a demilitarized buffer zone. So this is coming from Breitbart. What we expect Syria to do is, of course, establish a demilitarized buffer zone from Damascus to the buffer area, including the approaches to Mount Hermon and the Hermon Peak. So, interesting. Here we go with Damascus,
Yes.
right? We hold these territories to ensure the security of the citizens of Israel, and that is what obligates us. With goodwill and an understanding of these principles, it is possible to reach an agreement with the Syrians, but we will stand by our principles in any case, right? The Israeli prime minister was responding to an unusual warning from Trump on his preferred social media platform, Truth Social. Trump wrote on Monday that he believes great progress has been made by the new Syrian government following the overthrow of dictator Bashar Assad 1 year ago, and he was concerned that Israel's ongoing military actions against Hezbollah in Syria could jeopardize that success. The United States is very satisfied with the results displayed through hard work and determination in the country of Syria. We're doing everything within our power to make sure the government of Syria continues to do what we intended, which is substantial in order to build a true and prosperous country, Trump wrote. One of the things that has helped them greatly was my termination of very strong and biting sanctions. I believe this was truly appreciated by Syria, its leadership, its people. And it's very important that Israel maintain a strong and true dialogue with Syria and that nothing takes place that will interfere with Syria's evolution into a prosperous state. Trump praising Syria's interim president that Ahmad al-Shara, a former leader of the al-Qaeda terrorist organization, for working diligently to make sure good things happen and that both Syria and Israel will have a long and prosperous relationship together. And of course, it talks about Shara meeting Trump but he wasn't really given a public platform. He did meet with Trump in the Oval Office, but it was sort of like kept out of the media. So this guy's got to prove himself to Trump. So it's kind of one of those things. Yeah, he's talking. He's saying what he's saying to Israel, but Trump always speaks out there. This is what I want from you. He's telling Syria, hey, you've done pretty good, but this is what I'm expecting. So he
You got to up your game.
yep, gotta stay on what I'm wanting. Otherwise, And then also from Breitbart, Israel is to deploy the Iron Beam laser shield by the year's end.
Ah,
And it vows to change battlefield rules. I would imagine.
yeah,
Hey,
it
well,
only costs like what, $1 a shot.
A
something
couple of
like that.
dollars, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And
very cheap.
they'll deploy its first full-powered Iron Beam laser defense battery by year's end. Speaking on Monday at the Defense Tech Conference in Tel Aviv, Brigadier General Reserve Dr. Danny Gold, head of the Defense Ministry's Directorate of Defense Research and Development. It's the DDRND. Delete DD, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
said
Delete, 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 delete.
yeah, said the high energy laser beam, known in Hebrew as Or Etan, has completed development and will be handed over to the IDF on December 30th. Gold said his doctorate is prepared to deliver initial operation capability. I'm sorry, his directorate is prepared to deliver initial operative capability to the military, emphasizing that Israel is already advancing the next generations of laser defenses, even as the first battery enters service. So,
I think they're the first government in the world to develop a operational laser.
yep, it says here, according
I know
to,
we're working on one, but
yeah,
I don't think we have one yet.
no. According to technical specifications published by the Israeli business daily Globes, the flagship Iron Beam 450 uses a 100 kilowatt high energy laser fired through a 450 millimeter aperture to burn through rockets, mortars, and drones at ranges of roughly 10 kilometers.
Wow.
Unlike missile interceptors, no projectile ever leaves the launcher.
Yeah.
The beam hits incoming threats at a speed of light. The Globes reported that each laser shot costs only a few dollars compared to tens of thousands for an Iron Dome interceptor.
Yeah.
So this is truly like Star Wars and the lasers and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Playing with the Schwartz.
It says here Israeli engineers acknowledge the laser's limitations in heavy haze, dust, and cloud cover. And officials are careful to stress that the Iron Beam will not replace the country's missile defenses. So, Iron Beam.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
Meanwhile, the Pope has been all over the Middle East. I really don't care what he has. I mean, but what trouble he was into, I don't know. He was
He's backing the migrants,
yeah. He was
illegal aliens.
he
Yeah.
first visited Istanbul, Turkey, to mark the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea. That's why he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Then he traveled to Lebanon to talk with the country's large Christian population. They're represent the vast majority are Maronite Catholics. And then he had various engagements in Lebanon. And at Beirut waterfront, Pope Leo emphasized the need to find common ground in a nation of significant religious and ethnic diversity. He's got a problem. He's in a Muslim nation,
Yeah.
and they don't recognize him. He's nothing but an infidel.
And,
Right.
and
Right.
he realizes that there's a previous pope that was shot by a Muslim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does he?
So-
He does realize that, right?
Right. So anyway, he did that tour all the way through all of that. Speaking of Syria, though, this is kind of interesting. You can see that picture there. Christian communities in the Syrian cities of Latakia, I guess, and Homs held celebrations this weekend marking the beginning of Advent, the Christmas season, and lighting Christmas trees and opening themed markets.
Wow.
The Christmas season is beginning in the country for the first time under a government not run by the Assad dynasty in over half a century. On December 7th, 2024, former dictator, of course, Bashar Assad fled the country from Moscow. Anyway, it says here Shah Ra'ah's government has imposed an Islamic constitution to replace Assad's regime structure, but Shah Ra'ah himself has repeatedly insisted he would respect religious minorities and that his government would not be akin to the Taliban or other jihadist terrorist organizations. He has pursued a working relationship with President Donald Trump, who has prioritized fighting Christian persecution in his foreign policy and made history as the first Syrian president to visit the White House last month. As part of the visit, Shara'a formally introduced Syria into the global coalition against the Islamic State, which the HTS has not traditionally cooperated. So, anyway, despite the assurances of tolerance from support from the support from the Trump administration, religious minorities, particularly Christians, Alawite Shias, and the Druze have expressed apprehension of being ruled by an Al Qaeda offshoot tested for their rights. So anyway, it says talking all about this, the Islamic State and all these things that have been going on. As recently as this week, reports from Syria's Valley of Christians in Homs indicated that roving jihadists were organizing menacing displays against Christian civilians. Those reports and conflicts coexisted with the organization of massive Christian events this weekend in Latakia, a Christian and Alawite stronghold, and Homs. In the former St. Michael's Church, a Greek Orthodox house of worship, staged an event entitled "Christmas is Here," in which thousands celebrated the lighting of a large Christmas tree before the church. The Syrian Arab news agency controlled by the Shara'a regime reported the event. So right now they're trying to do all these things to get in good graces with Donald Trump. So first time in half a century, first time in a long time, they have had a Christmas tree lighting in Syria. How interesting.
Oh,
But meanwhile, if you're not nice to Israel, this is also a Breitbart. You may suffer the consequences. If you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse Israel, you'll be cursed.
go figure.
This one from Breitbart News says Tehran is running out of water
Go figure.
and faces alarming pollution in the latest environmental crisis.
Huh?
The air quality index in Tehran has deteriorated to unhealthy and alarming levels, according to both outside experts and the Iranian government, which advised city residents to remain indoors last week. Elderly people and children, along with cardiovascular and respiratory patients, should remain in their homes as much as possible. That's according to the Tehran Air Quality Control. Government agencies and businesses in the national capital were asked to reduce staffing and allow employees to work from home, while schools across the city were closed. Restrictions have been placed on trucks and automobiles within Tehran to reduce emissions. This had the unusual side effect of filling the streets with women riding on motorcycles because it was impossible for men to drive them around in cars as normally required by Iran's repressive Islamic cultural regulations. A deputy for Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, I don't know how he says. There's too many consonants in his name, admitted that air pollution will kill if it becomes any more than this. The director of emergency services for Tehran said on Monday that at least 357 people died from causes related to air pollution over the past 8 days.
Wow.
The director said his agency fields thousands of emergency calls from people who found it difficult to cope with the toxic atmosphere. And so, anyway, Tehran is also suffering from a severe crisis that could lead to the partial evacuation of the city. Some of the weather patterns contributing to the drought conditions are also causing the pollution to accumulate over the city. You see, you need to start blessing Israel, right?
And then you receive the bless.
Right.
Not just from Israel, but from God.
Seems to me in the book of Zechariah, it says that if you don't go up to worship the Messiah once a year, you're not going to get any water.
Right.
Well,
and obviously, they aren't getting any water here.
It's been multiple years for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's a foreshadow of the things to come, right?
That's exactly right.
It is there. It's being demonstrated right there.
How you doing, Bonnie? Bonnie's watching on YouTube tonight. Hi, Bonnie.
YouTube. Wow.
Yeah, she's been commenting. She's talking about a major training camp in Pennsylvania. I'm assuming she's talking about Muslims, but yeah, we'll have to look into that.
We will. Indeed we will.
You said it was in 2011. They told me we were trained, armed, and waiting for a signal. Like, okay.
Yes.
So we'll have to look that up.
Yep, we will. This is Amir's newsletter. Amir Tsarfati. He had quite an amazing. If you have a chance, go listen to his. Yesterday, he and Pastor Barry Stagner. They did their weekly news thing. If you can get it, um, Google Behold Israel. I believe he posts it on YouTube. I was seeing it actually coming live through Telegram. Very interesting things he had to say. He's got a book coming out. And it's called Until He Comes. I think is actually is out this week. And it's 365 days of short teachings and applications centered on God. So it's a daily devotional. And so I use his thing every week anymore, and because he has such a neat condensed way of catching us up on the information pertaining to Israel and the Middle East. And so he's the one that had the videos of what was going on in the markets, the Christmas markets around the world. So, um, but he said he's launched a different sort of teaching, a video entitled "Expose the Truth About America First" or "Israel First," an 8-minute discussion breaks down the fallacy that one needs to choose between putting their loyalty to either America or Israel ahead of the other. I'm sure that's a little bit of an answer to Tucker Carlson et al. So anyway, um, it's I guess I'm really enjoying what Amir is posting, but of course he has the Middle East and Beyond update, and he has a Telegram channel. So that's my advertisement for Amir. Go find him and follow him.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm using his work right now. He says the bloodiest ceasefire continues. In the Palestinian dictionary, I believe the word ceasefire is defined as an agreement in which your enemy must halt hostilities while you are able to continue plotting and attacking while receiving global accolades for your restraint.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Case in point, he says yesterday several terrorists emerged from a tunnel hideout and fired an RPG and some small arms at IDF soldiers. 5 soldiers were injured, one severely. The Israeli military is currently ensuring that those terrorists and any friends who happen to be nearby are permanently removed from the playing field, he says. This is just one incident in a series of Hamas attacks. Just last week, IDF soldiers in Gaza uncovered a fully loaded 5-barrel rocket launcher that was intended to be shot across the border into Israel. This cannot go on forever. The IDF is having success in weeding out the remnants of Hamas. This includes removing all the terrorists who were left in Rafah through surrender or elimination. I heard that they blew up a tunnel and got rid of a lot of them. So, and he says despicable games played with the dead. At the time of this writing, Hamas is still holding the remains of 2 hostages. On Tuesday, they said they had found small remains pieces of one of the victims and delivered those. When it was discovered that whatever had been sent had nothing to do with either hostage, the terrorists just shrugged, then snickered behind closed doors. Wednesday, the day I'm writing this, it's the same thing with much fanfare broadcast on Qatar's Al Jazeera network. In violation of the ceasefire agreement, more remains were passed on to the Red Cross for transfer to Israel. This time, they're not sure they got it right. Winky, winky. I'll update below with the breaking news if this truly is one of the missing 2. The problem for Israel is that we have shown our hand to the terrorists. We love each other more than we love our own lives. In contrast, they hate us more than they love each other or themselves. When that strength of love and hate meet head on, it is hate that typically gains the most immediate and most graphic of victories. Love's successes often come to fruition in the long term and ultimately in the eternal. This is why Israel is so vulnerable to the hate filled enemies who surround them. In Lebanon, Hezbollah is rapidly rearming, and in Syria, Houthis are being smuggled in by Iran. Both of these terrorist groups, along with all the weakened but still active Iranian proxy militias, are currently planning October 7th type attacks because they know if they can take Israeli hostages, then they will be in the catbird seat. This is the reality today in Israel, and the IDF is doing what they can to either prepare for the coming onslaught or to rise up and kill their enemies before they have a chance to kill us. Breaking news, the remains returned today are that of Thai hostage Sustisak Rinthalak, 42. He was working in agriculture in Kibbutz Be'eri when he was murdered by Hamas on October 7th. We join Mr. Rinthalak's parents and his brother in mourning the loss of this hero. Now we await the return of the remains of the final hostage, 24-year-old Staff Sergeant Ron Gvili. He was killed the day before his 25th birthday defending Kibbutz Alumim, despite the fact that he was on medical leave at the time. It's time the terrorists live up to their end of the agreement and complete the return of our hostages.
Well, they're not going to do that.
One more.
Yeah.
Cigars, champagne, and the persecution of a prime minister. When Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's political enemies cooked up a scheme to bring his career down through the improper, quote unquote, receiving of some cigars and bottles of champagne, they thought they had him dead to rights. Nothing left for him to do but to resign and slink away into the political ignominy. Instead, Bibi said, "You want to fight? Let's fight." Thus began this judicial law fiasco that is currently taking place in Israel. Unfortunately for the prosecution, the already weak case is now deteriorating by the day. Everyone in the country sees it for what it is. But there are still enough Netanyahu haters among the citizens and the power drunk judicial branch of the government to keep the court case going. Sound familiar?
Yep. Yep.
The parallels between the United States and
Yeah.
Israel, between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu,
Yep.
right? Thus, in the midst of a seven front war, the prime minister is forced to spend 3 days a week in court defending himself against politically motivated drivel, just like Trump while he was out on the campaign trail
Yeah.
had to be in court, right? And it says here the left would actually love to see a quick end to the case with a guilty verdict because they see the tide is rapidly turning against them. Too much longer, and they'll be left with nothing. Netanyahu agrees with them in that he too would like to see a quick conclusion to the case. That is why he has requested a pardon for President Isaac Herzog, which in Israel is essentially an end of trial request. His entreaty was preceded by both verbal and written request to Herzog by President Trump, calling for an end to what the American president called a witch hunt. Even though ending this legal farce would be the best thing for our country at war, it is likely that Herzog will deny it. The president is contemplating his own political comeback and can't allow himself to let Netanyahu off the hook. The politics thicken.
Yes.
So Herzog wants to be in the game.
What a tangled web we weave.
Yep. Lebanon was given, it says Lebanon's approaching deadline. Lebanon was given to the end of December to disarm Hezbollah, like we saw in that other article. Instead, we see an impotent government unable to stop the terrorist group and Hezbollah being rearmed by Iran faster than Israel can destroy the incoming weapons. This is a growing powder keg with the potential to blow apart the country like a warehouse full of ammonium nitrate in the port of Beirut. Oh, remember when that happened?
Yeah.
Last week, Pope Leo the 14th was in a country trying to mediate. He was in a country trying to mediate for peace with little success. U.S. envoy Morgan Ortagus met in Beirut with President Joseph Aoun yesterday, a day after sitting down to talk with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Her goal was to try to make the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon more ceasefirey. Israel's attitude is, yeah, we're good with no more shooting as long as you can get Hezbollah to quit rearming and building up military infrastructure with the intention of using it on us. I'd tell you the response of Hezbollah's leadership, but I don't speak Persian. As I mentioned above, Iran has not given up its desire to wipe Israel off the map, and they are surreptitiously gaining ground. Israel sees what's going on and will act when it becomes necessary, despite what Lebanon, Syria, the UN, or the United States have to say about it. Good for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Iran's downward slide. Speaking of our friends in Tehran, it seems like there could be a confusion amongst the Ayatollahs of where their priorities should lie. Their people are seeing a 41% inflation reported by Iran's central bank last year,
Wow.
although it was likely much higher. They are trying to breathe amidst the massive amount of pollution that's earned Tehran the title of the world's most polluted city. They are frustrated that they can't turn on their lights because the Karaj Dam, I'm sorry, like a dam, has gone off grid due to a huge drop in its water level, a crisis that will soon lead to a halt in the flow of tap water. Now the Ayatollahs are saying, sure, there are a few problems. See that ballistic missile we just fired into Iraqi Kurdistan? God might operate there sometimes. Besides, we got all those proxy militia mouths to feed and guns to load. So how about just taking one for the team? For the Iranian leadership, destroying Israel in America is far more important than providing basic necessities to their own people. A time is coming when the Islamists will be ousted from their positions of leadership. I'm just afraid that it won't happen until after their military is destroyed in the Ezekiel 38 war. And he says, you asked for it, Europe. Now, this is the thing I was talking about. There's nothing like a beautiful Christmas market in Europe. The smell of chestnuts roasting, the sound of bells jingling, the twinkle of shiny ornaments hanging in mistletoe trimmed kiosks, the pounding of drums drowned out by Christmas carols, the waving of Palestinian flags knocking decades old baubles from the traditionally adorned central square tree, the blare of free, free Palestine distorted through bullhorns. Ah, such a festive time. You asked for it, Europe, and now you've got it. In Toulouse, Vienna, London, Brussels, and many other cities throughout the continent, jihadist sympathizers have surrounded and infiltrated Christmas markets and celebrations with chanting, flag waving, and verbal and physical attacks, and smoke bombs, too.
Mm.
And for you in the United States, if it hasn't come to your city yet, just wait. This is just a symptom of the growing anti Semitism disease that I believe is going to lead to a massive aliyah or immigration to Israel in the coming years. The Israeli government also sees this potential, along with a possibility that an event or series of events could lead to a very rapid, large scale immigration. To prepare for this, the Ministry of Aliyah and Integration, together with the National Emergency Authority, conducted a strategic exercise last week simulating just a sudden influx. The winds of the world are once again blowing against the Jewish people. However, if you are a student at all of the Bible, this should come as no surprise. And so that's what's happening. This is also part of it. Of why we're seeing this uprising, I think, of Islam around the world. It is part of what's setting the stage for God said to the Jewish people, go home. And I think we've said it for a while now. If you have the opportunity, if you're Jewish and can go back to Israel and go to Israel and make Aliyah to Israel, it's probably a good idea because, it may be better to do it while you can do it at ease than have to be doing it in haste. Right? So the Lord said he's going to bring you back from the four corners of the world.
That's right.
And that's what's, I don't think you're going to escape it even in sunny Florida.
Nope.
As they leave New York. But this is this is by Joshua Klein out of Breitbart. It's an exclusive. The son of Hamas founder, no such thing as a Palestinian death cult ideology weaponized against the West. A society that sacrifices its own children for pity and power is a death cult. And the liberal West is feeding the beast by validating its lies. And this is according to the son of a Hamas co-founder, and he warning describing Hamas's strategy of turning Gaza's civilians into human shields to win global sympathy. Speaking in a recent interview with Breitbart News, Mossab Hassan Youssef, the son of Hamas co-founder Sheikh Hassan Youssef, who later broke with the terror group and worked covertly with Israeli intelligence as the Green Prince, delivered a sweeping warning to Western progressives as global sympathy for the Palestinian cause reaches historic highs. The former Hamas insider's warning comes as Israel marks two linked anniversaries. 78 years since the UN partition plan on November 29, 1947, when the Arab world rejected a Jewish state and launched a war, and its November 30 National Day commemorating the departure and expulsion of nearly 900,000 Jews from Arab and Muslim countries and Iran after Arab regimes turned on their Jewish populations in wake of the United Nations vote and Israel's creation and stripped them of citizenship, property, and basic rights. The world forgets history, Yusuf said, but history is repeating itself. And this time, the liberal West is helping it happen. Their strategy, sacrificing children to cry genocide. Drawing on his upbringing inside Hamas's inner circle, Youssef said the terror group's approach on October 7th and throughout what he called 77 years of Palestinian violence was never about land, borders, or occupation, but about producing maximum civilian suffering for political gain and Western consumption. This is their strategy, he warned, but put children in harm's way, weaponize civilians, endanger both sides, and use the blood to ignite endless war. Hamas, he stressed, knows it cannot defeat Israel on the battlefield. They know they cannot win a conventional war, Yusuf said, so they try to defeat Israel in the court of liberal Western opinion by creating as many civilian casualties as possible in genocide. Launching the October 7th massacre from one of the most densely populated areas on earth was deliberate, he argued. Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar knew exactly what Israel's response would be, describing the attack as a trap designed to generate horrific images from Gaza that could then be weaponized in Western media and campuses and streets. And remember, those Hamas guys, Yahya Sinwar and the like, weren't in Gaza originally.
Mm-mm.
They and their kids were safely away in Qatar and
Qatar, yeah.
all these other places. They orchestrated the entire war, Yusuf said. They did it to gain pity points, and many in the liberal West fell for it. Israel, by contrast, he said, did everything it could to minimize civilian casualties while facing an enemy that has adopted the strategy of weaponizing civilians for 77 years, a culture of death that glorifies martyrdom and treats children as tools, knowing that activists in New York, London, and Paris would rush to accuse Israel of mass murder.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And we're seeing the Hezbollah doing the same thing right now, right? There is no such thing as a Palestinian. It's a false identity. The former Hamas operative reserved some of his sharpest criticism for what he called the manufactured Palestinian identity, insisting it was invented for political unity and continues to fuel violence that Western progressives now excuse. Right? We said there's no such thing as a Palestinian. We've said it all the time on this show.
They're all Gazans.
Gazans.
And they're all Hamas.
Right. There's no such thing as a Palestinian, he said. There's no such thing as a Palestinian. And there's no such thing as Palestine, he said. These are terms borrowed from the Romans, from conquerors. At most, what we call Palestinians are Arabs, and Israel already has 2 million Arab citizens. He described the Palestinian national narrative as a mask, constructed to justify rejecting peace, rejecting coexistence, and ultimately rejecting Israel's right to exist, even as the same narrative is now chanted on American campuses. After 77 years of insisting on violence, the mask must be dropped, he declared. You should never be rewarded for almost a century of chaos and bloodshed. One of his most forceful statements, as the son of Hamas founder Yusuf went further. Palestinian is a made-up identity invented by con artists who sacrifice Arab children for power, he said. I was born an Arab. Then they told us we were Palestinians, but never said why. Those same leaders, he charged, gambled with children's futures for politics, whether in Hamas or the Palestinian Authority. My rage is at Hamas and at the Palestinian Authority, the former Hamas insider said. They are reckless. They don't care about Arab or Jewish children. And Youssef warned that the Western youth, increasingly sympathetic to Palestinian cause, have been shaped by a shallow worldview of oppressed versus oppressor, leaving them easy prey for Hamas's propaganda and what he called Palestinian victim ideology. And remember, behind all of this is Qataris. They're fueling all this. That's their money.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're probably getting some money from Muslims here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Like $1 billion.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
generation, he says, thinks the world is just good guys and bad guys, he said. And they see Hamas as freedom fighters. Recent polling reflects the trend. Over the past decade, American sympathy for Israel has eroded, with growing numbers, especially among Democrats and younger voters, now saying they sympathize more with Palestinians and even accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza. They don't understand history, Yusuf said. They don't understand the Holocaust or what 77 years of Palestinian violence looked like. They don't understand Hamas's ideology. As a former Hamas insider, he said the group intentionally shaped its narrative to exploit that generational blind spot. Hamas understood this game, Yusuf said. Play the victim, play the underdog, hold a rifle against a modern army, and the West will cheer you on. Many people are frustrated with their own lives and want revolution, and Hamas sells them one. The choice, said, is between revolution, intifada, chaos, destruction, bloodshed, or evolution through education, understanding, tolerance, and peace. Yet he warned too many in the liberal West are cheering the first path without understanding where it leads. Yusuf said Western progressives who validate Palestinian accusations of genocide despite overwhelming evidence of Hamas's deliberate human shield tactics were endangering themselves, not just Israelis. You can believe their victimhood story, he warned, but by doing so, you are inviting violence into your own backyard. He said that accusing Israel of genocide not only distorts reality, it also empowers Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and their broader ideological project far beyond Gaza. They're feeding the beast, he said. They're validating barbarism. He warned that the jihadist project is not limited to rockets and tunnels. Today, we are experiencing financial jihad, diplomatic jihad, and physical jihad. He said the liberal West is opening the gates and pretending it is compassion. Israel, he insisted, will survive. The West might not.
Mm.
Israel is strong, united, experienced, Yusuf said, but I'm not sure about Europe. I'm not sure about the United States. Let them keep inviting this evil. They will wake up one day and not even remember how this happened. The collapse could be sudden, like a domino effect. Yusuf said the global narrative misrepresents the conflict entirely. The conflict isn't about land, he said. Those claims of occupation and genocide are lies. We've said that. He noted that Israel withdrew from Gaza, gave Gazans the opportunity to build a state. Instead, they voted for Hamas, which then used the territory as a launching pad for war. Recent polling, he pointed out, still shows majorities of Palestinians supporting the October 7th attack and denying its atrocities.
Mm-hmm.
Hamas's true purpose, he said, mirrors the ideology he was raised in as the son of a Hamas leader. Destroy Israel, destroy the non-Muslim entity, force humanity to submit to Allah and Islam, he said. This is the ideology, not a state, not borders, not freedom. He added that offers of a Palestinian state made repeatedly since 1947 were consistently rejected because peace was never their goal. Israel said yes to every proposal, he noted. The Palestinians chose violence every time. Yusuf closed with a direct appeal to Americans and to the broader liberal West to step back from slogans and examine what they're actually endorsing when they march for Palestine. We need to see things for what they are, he said. We need to ask, is their claim to the land legitimate? Is their violence justified? Is Israel really what the world says it is? As long as we are not truth seekers, as long as we act on emotion, not reason, the outcome will be catastrophic, he warned. Listen to those who lived it. If you don't, you will deal with the consequences. And so that's concisely what we've been trying to say. He says it very good.
When Yasser Arafat was negotiating, I forget what they called it originally, years and years ago, with Clinton.
Camp David.
Camp David Accords, that's right. Yasser Arafat was offered everything, and they still turned it down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that confirms exactly what that article
Well,
just
it
said.
wasn't just about the war either. Arafat, he died a billionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, if he ends the war, the money stops.
Yes.
So, I mean, he can't make money unless they're waging war.
Right.
And his wife got all the rest of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They were trying to think about going after her to get the money back, but
how?
I mean, I think the PA was trying to figure it out.
I'm sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And And it's like, no.
It's like
So,
it's like she's probably smarter than Indira Gandhi was. Indira Gandhi didn't pay her bodyguards very well,
no.
so
Yeah,
So this guy that wrote this article is actually the
he's the son.
son of the guy who founded Hamas.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
hmm
Or
he was
he
one
said,
of
it
them.
says here, it said here, okay, this is a speaking, in interview with Breitbart. This boy's name, or this man's name, is Mossab Hassan Youssef. He's the son of Hamas's co-founder Sheikh Hassan Youssef, who later broke with the terror group and worked covertly with Israeli intelligence known as the Green Prince.
Yeah.
So his father
Hmm.
was a co-founder of Hamas.
You can go online, Richard, or anybody else, if you want to. You can go on YouTube and look him up. He has done several debates with Palestinians, with other Muslims, and you should see the wry, sinister smiles that he's able to get out of them. I mean, he's like, this is the truth. This is what you don't want to tell anybody. And as he talks, you could just see it. It just start, and the devil, the
Ooh.
demonic, just starts to come all over their face.
Uh-huh.
I've seen it several times. I mean, this guy is good.
Yeah,
So,
like the smiley Zoran Mamdani. Oh, so
oh yeah,
smiley
yeah.
until you start seeing that other side come out, right?
Yep.
I am down to an archaeological story. Okay. To the very end here. I had some things in here in Perry Stone's thing, but I think I'll bring it back uh another time.
Okay.
But because
We'll look forward to that.
yes,
That's called a tease, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen.
that's he has a good teaching in here on Ezekiel 37 and also Ezekiel 38 and 39. And a discussion about Ezekiel 39 if we have Richard here next week. Maybe we can do it next week.
Awesome.
Then we can just kind of center in on that. But I think that the headlines right now, since we've been gone for a couple weeks, were a little bit more important we needed to get to this week. And so
Yep.
we'll do that the next time. But Israeli archaeologists uncover remains of a dramatic mountaintop royal palace, it says here. A team of Israeli archaeologists have uncovered a new piece of the puzzle at the ancient Alexandrium fortress, the dramatic mountaintop site rising 650 meters above the Jordan Valley. Months after relaunching excavations on the eastern side of the site, researchers have now found the remains of a newly identified royal palace on the northwestern slope. The find suggests the stronghold was part of a far more extensive royal complex than previously known. It sheds light on the archaeological style and function of the site, which is not mentioned by Josephus. Our only historical source for the period, Dr. Dariv Raviv of Bar Ilan University, director of excavation, told the Press of Service of Israel. So any archaeological find is significant. Among discoveries at the fortress perched above Mount Sartaba are two column drums, 40 centimeters in diameter and 30 centimeters tall. No, 60 centimeters tall, I'm sorry. Raviv said the columns match the monumental Herodian style from the first century Common Era, familiar from Masada and other desert fortresses, reinforcing the royal nature of the structures uncovered so far. Ooh, I wonder if they found something else by Herod. This discovery expands what is known about Alexandrium, the palace fortress built by the Hasmonean king Alexander Yanai and later renovated by Herod the Great. Alexandrium was described by Josephus as a fortress built in great splendor on a high mountain. I thought it said up here, not mentioned. Anyway, it just said sheds light on architectural style, the style, which was not mentioned by him. Alexandrium was described by Josephus as a fortress built in great splendor on a high mountain. The site played a central role in the violent struggles within the Hasmonean dynasty and later in Herod's rise, serving at various times as a place of imprisonment, hospitality, and even royal burial. Historical sources record that the site was destroyed by the Romans in 57 of the Common Era. Before the Common Era. I'm sorry, It was destroyed in 57, let's just say BC. Okay.
Right.
Several years after Roman general Pompey conquered Judea in 63 BC. Jewish rebels may have used it during the Great Revolt against Rome from 66 to 73 AD, Raviv added. The site was last excavated in the 1980s, but no final report was ever published. Raviv and his team therefore began almost from scratch, relying on only on ostraka, inscribed pottery shards with Judean names, notes, and photographs left by earlier researchers. One known remnant from the earlier dig is a white mosaic floor that once paved the palace on the eastern slope. With support from the Ministry of Heritage, the renewed excavation began in March, marking the first systematic work at the site in 4 decades. The project aims to resolve lingering questions about the fortress, its architectural development, and its role during the Hasmonean and Herodian periods. The newly identified palace on the northwest slope clarifies both the scale and splendor of the hilltop complex. Given Josephus's brief references to Alexandrium, a physical evidence is essential for understanding how the Hasmoneans and Herod built and used the fortress. According to Raviv, the architectural fragments uncovered so far allow archaeologists to reconstruct portions of the palace layout and better understand its function. The excavation is being carried out by Bar-Ilan University in cooperation with the staff officer of archaeology at the civil administration in Judea and Samaria. As the site lies in Area C of Judea and Samaria under Israeli administrative and security jurisdiction. Raviv says this season's discoveries are likely only the beginning. We hope to uncover more. As TPSIL reported in April, Israeli archaeologists find themselves effectively blacklisted by the international academic community, unable to publish findings from Judea and Samaria. The politics driven policies of the academic archaeological world result in the erasing of biblical history. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority deliberately strives to wipe out evidence of the Jewish connection to the land and imperil sites of tremendous historical value, archaeological experts told TPSIL. In an attempt to change the equation, the Israeli government allocated an unprecedented $33 million budget to preserve archaeological sites in Area C. In mid-November, the civil administration began expropriating land near the ancient biblical capital of Sebastia for the preservation and development of the archaeological site there. As part of this effort, the Israeli Antiquities Authority, together with leading universities, organized the first international conference on Judea and Samaria archaeology and site conversation in February, attracting dozens of researchers from many countries. To further protect Jewish heritage sites, there have been calls to extend the Israel Antiquities Authority jurisdiction to Judea and Samaria. I didn't know they didn't have jurisdiction there. Replacing the civil administration's archaeology staff officer. Proponents argue that the civil administration is not equipped to deal with the challenges of preserving and excavating sites. Critics warn that this move may get all Israeli archaeology banned from international cooperation. Who cares? I say go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're trying to Aaron Lipkin, I think he talks about how he's trying to get them to preserve Joshua's altar
Mm-hmm.
and these sites around there that the Palestinians come along, try to tear down all the time. The Muslims. They're not Palestinians. They're Muslims.
Yep.
Muslim invaders. Let's put it that way. So that is that.
Mm. Yep.
So tomorrow evening we have Shabbat,
Mm-hmm.
and we hope to be ironing out things because in just 10 days we have Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
So, and we're going to be lighting the menorah at the square, and don't know how we're going to bring that to you guys if we are able to do that or not, but we'll try to figure it out. And at least we have a menorah here, so we'll light it here as well. So, but who knows? But I'm sure that Brother Larry will be bringing a message tomorrow evening. And then, of course, next Wednesday, another Hebrew class. Next Thursday, we'll be back for the show. And like I said, coming up at the end of this month around Christmas, we will have to not do the show for 1 week. So, so join us when you can, right?
Yep.
And of course, If you don't catch the program, we are on Rumble and Twitch and YouTube. So that's pretty good. And we noticed we picked up more people. I've noticed we picked up quite a few more people viewing the program. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if you come back and watch it a couple times, if you didn't get it a whole, it counts maybe as 2 times watching it. I don't know. But I hope that maybe after the beginning of the year, we'll see how many people are still watching us. And then since we'll be on these new platforms, maybe we'll do a little review again as to basically who we are and where we've come from and why we're doing what we're doing. So,
Yeah. And just a reminder, if you are going on these platforms, be sure to put a like and subscribe and
yes.
all the other things that all the other people tell you to do.
Yes.
But
The little bells, but they get the
it's
alerts,
right, and it just lets us know that you're out there and where you're watching the show, and it's just pretty cool. That's all.
Yeah.
So
I'd
thank
like to make a special prayer request for the
Yes.
audience. Um, uh, Something that's bothering me, and I asked our church to pray for it, is that in Charlotte, North Carolina, is a hub for this sexual transmission. They just they travel all these people all over the United States from there,
Oh my.
and I'd like to
you. Talking about human trafficking.
yeah, human trafficking. They do the gangs that are coming in are using Charlotte, North Carolina as a hub,
Really?
Oh,
and they
really? The
travel.
cartels,
Huh?
Mexican cartels.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'd like to ask the audience to pray that the Lord bring this down,
Hmm.
stop this, and pray against this sexual trafficking that's taking place
Amen.
and across the country.
Yes.
It's become a plague. They're kidnapping young girls and young boys right off the street, and they just grab them and they're
Yep.
gone. So
Well, the part of the problem is they're making money off of it,
yeah,
and it's the sexual appetite.
right,
So there's
Mhm.
a whole thing that needs to be
right.
dealt with, and we speak
So
against and
we
what
need
the
to bring down these barriers
yeah.
and break down the demonic strongholds that have been built around
Hmm.
this situation.
And part
So
of that
yeah,
is bringing down the demonic as far as the
right,
need by people to have this,
right,
because they're making a lot more money off human trafficking, obviously, than they are dealing drugs.
right,
Right.
So,
yeah,
and it's not just the human trafficking; it's the porn
right,
that's
Yes, the fuel
on the
within it.
internet,
yeah,
and it's child porn and everything else that they're being sold into.
right. So keep
So,
this in your prayers
yeah,
and pray against it.
Bind those
Thank you.
strongholds that are
yep,
doing that. Yes. We can bind and loose, right? In prayer. So we bind the satanic
yep,
that and cast it down, bring it
yep.
to light. Boy, just something else that Donald Trump and his administration needs to deal with, right?
It
Oh
sure
They're
my.
does.
working on it.
Yep.
Yep.
They just found, I think it was approximately 175. I could be off. I think it might go up to 190. They just released 190 people out of that system that they found.
Yep.
So
Well, I know that
unbelievable.
how many kids did
Yeah,
Joe Biden lose?
300,000.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
Joe Biden lost 300,000 young children.
right.
So
So
where they're at, they're finding some of them. I think Holman said they found about 1,000 so far, and
man,
so there's a lot of work
yes.
to do here.
There's a lot to pray about.
Yeah,
You could get quite depressed, but
thank you for
you know,
praying about that.
we have to put our faith and trust in the Lord and join with him,
Yeah,
like you said, in prayer against this evil.
Yep.
So like I said, join us tomorrow evening for Shabbat service. If you like this program and want to keep it coming your way, Jim will tell you how.
If you'd like to make a donation, you can send it through the mail to Congregation Adat Ariel, 1301 Enterprise Way, Suite 63, Marion, Illinois 62959. That's Congregation Adat Ariel, 1301 Enterprise Way, Suite 63, Marion, Illinois 62959. And in your envelope, stick a little note in there and tell us how you'd like your donation to be used.
Yes. And until we see you again at the same time, same place, same platforms, shalom